We're the United States of America. Unity and oneness is what we're made of. One nation under God, it's plain to see. We're showing the whole world what a country should be. United we stand in America, hand in hand in America. Together as one in a land that we love. United we stand in America.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome to Changing Times. It is Wednesday, April the 2nd. We're getting ready to have a storm and about 6 to 10 inches of rain in the next 3 or 4 days. So that's pretty exciting. Everybody get your boats ready and we'll be okay. We are live at the Acts Media Group headquarters in Springfield, Missouri, and got set off a little odd today because our music didn't come on. So I don't know, Mr. Producer, I always like my music on
You didn't
first
have your
thing.
headphones on.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what it was. Well, show number 200. I guess I'm just now learning how to do this because that's the first time I've ever done that. I'm thinking, well, my music's got to start before I start. So, I hope you all enjoyed the music. The gentleman that did that is a tremendous guy from the Kansas City area. And now we're getting rain, so I knew that rain was going to come in. But show number 200 today. We do issues, social causes, and we've got a great show. I'm Lynn Morris.
And I'm Dr. Mary Byrne.
Yes, you are. And we've got a tremendous guest. He is our youngest guest in the history of our show, and maybe one of the youngest guests in the history of Acts Media Group and Ministry, Brett Roussell. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for being here today. Brett's got an interesting story, and we know that we've got people, and most of the people that are watching our show are older folks, Brett. But they have children your age, and they also have grandchildren your age. And Brett has an interesting story of what his life is about and what he plans to do and what he is doing. He's not just thinking about it or talking about it. He's actually doing it. And there's a lot of young people doing it just like that. And this is inspiring. And that's why we wanted to bring another aspect of hope to our country and things like that. So Brett, just tell the folks a little bit about you, and then we'll talk about what you're up to.
Yeah, all right. So I'm a junior at Ozark High School, and I'm a junior at Ozark, and I have a Turning Point chapter that we started there. I've always grown up in the church, grown up knowing what the Christian values are, so I've always kind of orchestrated those into my life and lived by those values, and that's kind of what brought me to get involved in politics and want to start a Turning Point chapter.
That's what I keep trying to impress on pastors, is that you're not to stay within your four walls.
Right.
If you're salt and light in the community, you need to be out in the community.
Yes,
and government
exactly.
is a part of that.
That's exactly
I mean,
right.
you got Joseph, right, second in command of Egypt. You got Esther, who's a queen and a legislator. You got advisors to the king all throughout the Old Testament. And I don't exactly know what causes the church to shrink back and abdicate its role,
Right.
really. So I'm just thrilled to meet you and hear that you understand what the Christian call is.
Yes.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
So when did you figure that out?
Oh, my grandpa was a Baptist preacher, so the whole time I've grown up, he's always instilled those values in all of us, me and my siblings and my mom. So we've always known what's right and what to do, and we know that the church is supposed to be the light and the salt of the world,
That's
so we're
right.
supposed to go out and spread the word and help people.
That's right.
So, but it seems like oftentimes the church doesn't want to go out and do that, especially in politics. The separation of church and state.
Politics is considered synonymous with government.
Yes.
And in abdicating its role to be that salt and light, they are counting on secularism to
Yeah.
take the mission that the church used to have, including feeding the poor. healthcare, education,
Yeah.
right? You put the government in charge of that, you're going to get a secular world.
Yes, you are.
And those were all of the things that helped spread the word throughout Europe and then over here in the United States. Is the church understood its role and conducted itself in those missions.
Yes.
So good. Maybe we have a revival coming here.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what I think. I think that's what's so exciting, Brett, because you know, there's a lot of people. We've been doing this show now, show number 200, and we've been doing this show. And with all the problems that our country has, we're still the best country in the world. And there's a lot of people, though, that are hurting. They're suffering. They're financially, mentally, physically. There's a lot of issues going on. A lot of the people out there are not like the four of us, our producer included, that we're all strong Christians. We have a Christian background. We have a strong faith. We absolutely are a believer. But there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, that still, they weren't brought up like you and Dr. Mary and me. I mean, you know, my mom took my brother and I. My dad did not take us to church, but my mother took us every Sunday, and we went to First University Heights in Springfield, Missouri, right there by the Missouri State campus, and we went there every Sunday and on Wednesdays, and we were involved in lots of groups, the young groups and things like that, and so you're always going to have a different outlook, and you're going to have more knowledge if parents would do that, but I think when people watch, these parents and grandparents are watching today all over the country, all 50 states and around the world today, I think they're going to realize this is the byproduct that they could get. If you there's a formula. There's a formula that parents can do, and unfortunately, you know, there are a lot of parents that are good parents or try to be good parents, but they don't go to church themselves because they weren't brought up that way. And if you're brought up that way, I know that someday you may not think so, but you will get married, just like our son told us he was never going to get married either. But now he has 3 great kids, and so I've got 3 great grandkids from them. But you know, he didn't want to go to church sometimes back then, but he always went with us every week, and now he takes his kids to church. So there is a correlation about how you're raised and what you then will do. So what do you think you're going to do as you continue to you still got 2 years left in high school.
Yeah, about a year and a half, yeah.
About a year and a half left, and you're already taking college classes. What kind of college classes are you taking?
Right now I'm taking English classes and then a history, U.S. government class.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you ought to be pretty smart on those things, and you like school, and yeah. So where do you? I'm just curious. In a college class or a high school class, if you're not assigned a seat, where do you usually sit? Do you sit in the front, or you sit in the middle, or the back?
It depends on the setup of the classroom. Usually I like to sit by myself because I don't like to talk to other people while I'm trying to do my work.
Yeah.
So I sit by myself, but probably in the front or the back, depending on the classroom setup and how many kids are in there.
Well, good answer. I always told my daughter, Mandy, the first one of our children that went to college and got a couple of degrees, she wanted to go to Drury, and it was pretty expensive, and I talked her into going to Missouri State. But I told her, I said, you know, when I was in school, and I still do that today, anywhere I go to a meeting, we might have 250 people at a meeting, and I'm always on that front row.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on the front row, the size of your room does not matter.
Right.
The speaker can see you. You can see the speaker. You can hear everything. You don't have that many people talking to you, like you said. I understand, because one year in the state rep, they put me towards the back. I've always sat on the front row
Of the House of the Representatives.
Yeah. They put me. I don't know why they did this, but they put me.
So you
towards
wouldn't
the
talk to other
back.
people.
Well, I everybody else was talking, and I was having trouble hearing and seeing.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh man, I don't want that. So I always sat up in the front. So I'm always curious what that did. So
as the founder of a chapter of Turning Point USA, in the high school level, right? But how did you learn about TPUSA, and what motivated you to begin that?
Yeah, so I went to the Cultural Impact Conference at First Baptist in Ozark, and
Last year?
yes,
Oh,
it was
okay.
in October, I think.
Yeah, we were
They,
part of,
Yeah,
of
I-
promoting that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they-
I was there too. We had that on our show.
They had a turning point table there.
Yes, they did.
And I stopped and talked to him, and my field rep Nathan asked me if we had a turning point chapter at Ozark, and I told him no. And then he asked if I would be interested in starting one, so I gave him my information, and he texted me and asked if I was still interested. So we started the paperwork and we filled out all the stuff, and we got it started, and I got it approved by the school. So we've been started
And
since.
that's what I wanted you to explain is what's the process for that in case there's other high school students who would like to start
Yeah.
a chapter in their school.
It's not a hard process at all. Your field rep will walk you through everything. You basically you just find four other people to start a board, so
Okay.
4 of your friends or something like that, and then you fill out the paper and you say each person's position, and you just put your email and phone number on there, and that's pretty much it. High school, and that's it.
And you submit it to who?
Turning point, and then they'll approve it, and they'll
Okay.
charter your chapter, and they'll send you these activism kits to get started, so you can go do tabling events and give out stuff to students. So they give you everything you need to do it, and then if you need anything else, you can submit a stipend or something like that.
Okay, that's from the
and they'll pay
turning
for it.
point side.
Yeah.
What about from the school side? What did you have to do to get
From the
recognized?
school side? Well, so it was kind of hard for me since our principal it's his first year. So
Okay.
he doesn't really check his email.
So he didn't know
He
all of
didn't
the
know-
process
he didn't know all
either.
the process. So I went and talked to the athletic director and asked him how to start the club. He said I needed approval from the principal, but then he sent me back to the AD. So they were kind of just bouncing me back and forth. So then I went and asked the assistant principal how to do it.
Okay.
And she told me how to do it.
And what did she say?
She said to ask the principal. And, yeah. And then he finally approved it after a few
Hey,
weeks.
but you know what?
Okay.
That's perseverance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that taught you something too.
Yes.
Something that's really important. You don't want to just give up when
Yeah.
the first little roadblock hits you. You got to go around.
And you
it.
already had the charter from TPUSA to
Yes.
show them and
Yes.
say, we're an organization, we want to be recognized in this
Yes.
school. And do you have meeting space at the school?
Yes, we have a teacher sponsor, and we meet in her classroom twice a month.
Okay, all right.
And you start off probably with just 4 people then, or
We started with 5 people.
5
the
people.
Board, yeah, the board.
The board and one other person, and then how many people do you? How many?
52.
50. Wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
We have
And-
How
and,
long did it take you to get that? And
So 3 or 4 months to get to the 52.
how did you publicize so they knew you existed?
So what we would do, and so we had OTC classes on Fridays, and they don't have class on Fridays for our classes. So we would sit at lunch the entire 5 lunches we had at the school with our table and information. We would talk to people and get them to sign up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we would talk to the people and tell them what we're about and get them to sign up for it.
And what are the activities you do?
So we have our meetings once a month, and then we had a party for the inauguration. We had watch parties for the general and primary elections, and then we're also going to do an airsoft event here in a couple months for Turning Point, just for fun to get more people involved. See if we can get more people to sign up.
Do you get a speaker to come in from
Yes,
the national?
We're gonna try and get a speaker to come in.
Okay. I actually met Charlie Kirk.
Really?
Yeah, years ago when he was just getting started,
Mm-hmm.
he had a mentor while he was still in high school.
Yes.
And I was president of an organization. There was a member in that organization who said, I really want to bring Charlie Kirk to Springfield. And I said, have at it. That's fine. He had all of the contacts and stuff, and we brought him in. But it was very interesting because this was an organization of women. They didn't know who he was. And our turnout wasn't so good.
Mm-hmm.
But what we did do was get him radio spots, got him to be interviewed on different news shows and so on. So although the meeting had a small turnout, his visibility, I think, here in Springfield increased. So it was worth it. But if they only knew what Charlie would become.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are your goals in following through? So you've started this chapter in Ozark High School. You're going to take it to OTC, or is there an existing chapter now?
I actually asked about starting a chapter at OTC because we don't have one, but the field reps said since it's only a 2-year college, it would be hard to find people to stay and run it. But I will be there for the next 1.5 years, so I could run it for that time. But I haven't heard back yet about starting a chapter there, but I'm hopeful that they'll say yes.
Yeah. Are there other organizations there?
So at the Springfield campus, there's a politically active club. They're a bipartisan club. So I was thinking to start a Turning Point chapter. It has more.
Yeah, that
partisans.
argument only
Yeah.
has so much weight if there are other organizations there. I mean, they're getting just the 2-year turnover too.
Right,
So you'd
exactly.
have to say, well, explain to me the difference.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see about starting one at
Yeah.
either the Springfield campus or the Ozark campus.
I happen to know there is another organization there that let's just say it doesn't pass the DEI
Okay, yeah.
muster, and it exists there.
Okay.
So I don't see any reason. We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, well, that'd be,
that'd be exciting.
That would be good. So, how many other chapters in Missouri?
So,
Turning Point.
Yeah, so there's 3 in our area. There's a Glendale chapter, a Gloria Deo chapter, and theOzark chapter.
That
Oh, so
makes
that's
sense.
awesome.
Yeah, and
That's
then-
awesome. And then how about throughout Missouri? Do you know? Have you
I
an
know
idea?
of probably 6 or 7 chapters in Missouri.
Yeah.
And is Brian Rowland, you
He-
might say, an advisor for all of them?
He's the TPUS Faith advisor. So my field rep and the Midwest field rep is Nathan Todisman, and he does all our work. But I talked to Brian about the Patriot Academy, and we use some of those in our meetings now.
Tell the audience about Patriot Academy.
Yeah, so Patriot Academy, they have the constitutional classes, and that's what we use at our Turning Point meetings, because the school, our government classes, we took a Constitution test, but we never really learned about the Constitution.
You
So I
know,
like to
and
share
that
those
is the
with
essence
class.
of what public schools are supposed to do.
Yes,
They are supposed to transmit knowledge and reverence, really,
Yeah.
for our form of government from generation to generation in order to maintain the republic.
yeah,
That mission got hijacked.
right.
So right now, what you're saying is the study of the Constitution as our founding, a fundamental document in this country, is being taught as an extracurricular activity. And my position is no, it's the essence of what you do as a public school. So I'm working at the state level to try to bring that back.
That would be nice, because
yeah.
most people
So we'll work from
don't
both
really
ends.
know. Yeah, most people don't really know
Yeah.
much about the Constitution.
Yeah.
But what they did when we were going through our unit of the Constitution, they assigned homework quizzes that you were supposed to take, and then they gave us a class period to take the Constitution test. We didn't really cover the bulk of the Constitution actually in
The
class.
history of
Yeah,
it.
the history of it. I don't even think most of the class could name anybody that even signed the Constitution.
Yeah.
So
Which is a shame.
it is a shame, yes.
Because if they did understand, again, I think the awe of how
yes.
that group of people, and you know, that women were not within that group,
Right.
but women were in, in supporting roles.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. And so to say that, women weren't involved, I think is a misrepresentation of what really happened. And I have a particular admiration for John Adams' wife, because she was writing letters to John, actually giving him advice, which
Yeah.
just
My
tickles
wife
me.
did that when I was in Jefferson City for 8 years.
Absolutely.
She would actually tell me. She
But
was a good
she-
advisor.
She was the
Yeah.
one who anchored the family and the farm and kept
Right.
it going while John was doing his establishing the country,
Yeah.
right, with the
Right.
founders.
Right.
Somebody had to stay home,
Yeah.
and I don't regret that it was the women.
Yeah. Well, the Constitution, Brett, is the most important document that we've ever seen in mankind, and it's a living document. The thing that I always worried about up in Jefferson City, and I didn't even know how this happened, but we just get things in that. Missouri's Constitution is so big. It's way bigger than it needs to be.
We got a copy at home.
Well, because of the petition initiative.
Yeah, and
it's
we
a
just
big problem.
We've just got to make that harder. There's going to be things that needs to change, but we've got way too many things bingo is, for example. I don't know how we got bingo in our Constitution.
Petition initiative.
And but I don't even know how we allowed it to happen and pass. I don't understand all that stuff. And
I
so,
think Brett is onto something here. People don't know the Constitution. They don't know really what should go in and go out. And because of that loose loophole, I call the petition initiative a loophole at this point.
Yeah.
You can have outside money come in and push anything through.
Right.
Bingo essentially, okay, I'll let me put it this way. In my experience, bingo is a kind of profiteering. So whoever was profiting from these bingo games would be the
Yeah.
ones to fund the
Yeah.
petition initiative.
Yeah.
And petition initiative is a way to circumvent the legislature that is there to protect what goes into the Constitution. That's why we're having a problem in many ways. So I'm really pleased to know that you're using the Patriot Academy Constitution curriculum. What else do you do?
We actually have, so Turning Point sent us mini versions of the Constitution, little
The
books.
booklets?
Yes.
Yes.
So we give those out at our meetings, and when we do tabling events, we give those out to the students.
Cool.
So they can actually look through it and see what we're talking about when we go through with the Patriot Academy.
Yes, very good.
Yeah.
So who are you targeting as a speaker to come to your event?
So I like local politicians, local
Okay.
people like that. So I'm trying to get Christina Tonsing to come speak to our chapter at some point.
School board member.
Yes, Christina.
Yeah, she's awesome.
And then there's actually a candidate running for school board, Wade Wheeler. I think he would be good because they're both conservative people and they know what to do and how to do it. So I think having them
Right.
speak. We actually had Jamie Gregg come and speak to our chapter once, and that was fun.
And is
well,
Senator Hudson, is he from your area?
yeah, Senator
He's
Hudson,
another very
Senator
good
Hudson's
conservative.
guy.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
got, I mean, you've just got a tremendous resource. I mean, you go up, you got Senator Hawley who lives in Ozark, and we can help you get him.
Okay.
You
Mm-hmm.
got Senator, you got Congressman Burleson.
Yes.
He and I served together, and you've got him, and he lives in Ozark.
Yes.
So you got those two guys. You've got several other people that would be.
You can make this
glad,
big.
Be glad to do
Yeah.
that. So
That'd be nice.
you just got a tremendous. It's almost like a library of resources
Right.
right there in Christian County.
Yes.
And you'll never run out of somebody that will be good. Just a good advocate for you guys, and I think that will be awesome. And let's do a little plug about our friends Darren and what's Myers down at Branson at
the
Freedom
theater.
Encounter.
Okay.
So have you been down there?
I
to
haven't
see?
been down there.
Okay, well, let me tell you. I know I was talking to Brian Roman over the weekend, and they are really getting close. They have a classroom down there that Brian teaches in the program. However, they're almost ready to do. Remember, Mary? He was talking about 2 other rooms, and one of them will be like a school, an old pioneer school classroom. And then there's another one that's more like a library, but it's old time back in the pioneer days, and how all these Christian principles had started, and then where we are today. They are really expanding and doing well down in Branson, Missouri. So Freedom Encounter, Freedom Journey is a tremendous place to go down in Branson, Missouri. Great thing for parents, grandparents to take their kids and grandkids to.
Yes, a kind of show, and you can make
it's,
that part of your conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be
yeah.
a great place to.
If you advertise statewide and had enough time, you could bring people in and
Yeah.
really have a bang-up day. That would be awesome.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to help you kind of get that thing going
Yes,
too. So
for
I'd
sure.
be glad you just call me, and I'll try to help make that happen with some of the people I know. But
Yeah.
that would be Branson is so close to us, 30
Yes.
minutes from Springfield, Missouri, and got a lot of resources down there. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be a fun place for young people like you to go to.
Yeah.
So, what's your interest in politics? You're talking about your grandfather saying, "Okay, this being salt and light in your government is part of the Christian duty."
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about his teaching and how that. Yeah.
So he was a pastor for many years. So he always taught us that it was important to follow the word of God in everything you do in life, including government,
Yes.
and politics, things like that. It is important to bring the gospel with you It should direct you in everything you say and do.
There was a time when pastors, you might say, cultivated members of the congregation
Yes.
to be active. And again, I'm reluctant to use the word politically active because it's just plain part of being a citizen to protect the people of your community through wisdom and wise legislation.
Yes.
If you're not there, the void is going to be filled by people who just want power and money.
Yes, when the people don't stand up for the rights that they have, it's just going to come with more people and trying to take more power.
And the Proverbs say that when good men are in government, in power, the people thrive.
Yes.
But when evil people are in power, the people groan.
Yes.
We're there, folks.
Yeah.
We're there. So what are your aspirations for being a participant in government?
I've always had an interest in government and politics, and I want to stay active in it for as long as I can.
You think you'll run for office?
I'd like to at some point, maybe. Yeah.
Where do you think you'll start?
I don't know. Not sure. But I've always had an interest in it, so yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go to college and go to law school, or
law school.
Probably,
I'll go to law
I figure
school.
that's your path.
Yes.
Law school, and then we'll see from there.
Yes.
You know, when I started out, I never really thought I would get into politics, and I ran for school board, and I served 2 terms down at Ozark on the school board. And that was when our 3 kids were in school at Ozark. They were all in high school at that time. I served 6 years, and I could have kept serving and stuff like that, and I decided I'd run for state rep, and lost the first race I ever ran by 108 votes with the gentleman that was the Speaker Pro Tem, who became Speaker of the House the very next year after he beat me. And I didn't know. The reason why I was involved in politics, for me, I run in 26 pharmacies. I saw all the interruptions that the government was doing with health care, and I wasn't really my own boss anymore, you know, and they were telling me everything to do and how to do it and what to do. And then insurance companies got involved, and they started telling me what to do and telling the doctors what to do and what you could prescribe, what I could dispense, how much I was going to get paid. They told me everything. And I thought, well, that's not what I went to.
That's socialist health care right there.
And I thought, well, that's not what I went to pharmacy school for. The 70s and 80s and 90s were awesome years. We were in business 43 years. And I thought, well, those are awesome years, you know, and I can take care of my patients, and I can make money, and I can work hard. And then all of a sudden, it was like the switch turned off, and now everybody was dictating to me. So that's when I started getting involved in politics. I would come home at night complaining to my wife, Janet, and she just got tired of it. And one night she surprised me. We're eating supper, and she said, "Lynn, I think you're just changing, and it's not for the better." She said, "You just come home complaining every night. You go to work," and she said, "I know in the morning you're happy and you're in a good mood. Every night you're in a bad mood, and it puts me in a bad mood." And so she said, "We've got to do something about it." And so she said, "You need to do something." And so I don't know. So I went to bed that night and I prayed, and I thought, well, I got to do something. My wife is right. I've got to do something. This is ruining me inside. And so I woke up the next morning. We were eating breakfast and drinking our coffee, and I said, "I know what I'm going to do." And she goes, "What?" I said, "I'm going to run for office, statewide office." She goes, "No, that's not what I thought you were
She wanted you to go to therapy.
And I said, "No." I said, "Jesus confirmed. He said he'd help me. He'd help me."
Yeah.
And so I said, "You're going to have to help me." And she was a good campaigner, because she was born and raised and went through school system in Ozark. She and her parents knew a lot of people, and so so we did it. But there's all kinds of reasons to do it, but just being active in the community. And, you know, I don't know, like you said, about sometimes when you say politically active, then that turns some people off. But
Yeah, they start thinking party.
Yeah, but just
Okay.
being actively engaged and want to do something good for people. I guess the reason why I like my commissioner role as presiding commissioner and Eastern commissioner before that is, it's not a political position. Yes, it is political. I ran as a Republican.
But politics means
but
the
you-
activity of government. It's
Right.
not just about party.
That's right. And now, we're almost at 100,000 people, and now all of a sudden there's a study that says Christian County is fastest growing county in the state again. We're
Yeah,
trying to-
because they're all leaving green.
That's true.
So
Yeah, right.
in the states, so I'm thinking, we were fastest growing before, and now they're saying we are again. We'll see if that's really true, but it's so close, and so you just, in my job, I have to take care of everybody. Not just the party I represent. I represent
Right.
all the people, and I like that. It's not quite as political as I was up there in Jefferson City, and it still enables me to do what I really love to do, is just help people. Come in, listen to the people, listen to their problem, try to solve their problem in the right way, and so it is rewarding.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that public service can be very rewarding if you approach it the right way.
A right way, that's a phrase you use. To me, it means according to the process that's been put in place.
Yeah.
If you do not use that process, then you're abusing what should be in place for fairness.
Yeah.
Okay? And you become a tyrant, wanting your own way, because the process always includes a point of debate, a point of taking information in from anyone who will contribute that information. At the end of that discussion process, it could be the decision is you're not going to get what you wanted.
Right.
And they don't want to hear that. So they
Right.
circumvent the process. But the right way is to listen to everyone.
That's right.
And I do find that there's been an abuse of the process at all levels, local, state, and federal. And I think what we're experiencing now, particularly at the federal level, particularly through the judiciary, I don't know if you saw Newt Gingrich is now lecturing on what the true relationship between Congress and the judgeships are.
Well, I didn't see that. No.
All right, you can go back and
I'll
look
go
at
back
that.
and look at it though. Yes.
Because he's a historian and a
Yes.
scholar,
Right.
and he's like, no, folks, you've made up a narrative that isn't actually true.
Right.
And judges who have wanted to influence power beyond the boundaries of their jurisdiction
Yeah.
have enjoyed that abuse
Oh,
for a
yes.
while.
Yes, they have.
And so it's interesting in the media, they keep making the Trump administration out to be the tyrant.
Yeah.
Right?
The bad guy. They try to make the Trump
right.
administration the bad guy.
Just disobedient to
Right.
these judges. And he's saying, well, actually, if you are a scholar of the judiciary, you can see where they left the rails.
Yes.
And we need to put them back in place. So, but that's happening at all levels. I think it's just so disconcerting for people to watch that, because what is happening now is this sharp turning point
Yeah.
versus the incremental changes that progressives have made over time that were inconsistent with the Constitution, but because it happened so slowly over a century, this sharp turning point feels like a jolt, and it is unsettling. But
I think it's going to change, Mary. Hey, we've
Yeah.
got to talk about our sponsors real quick. We're going to run out of time, but we'll give you the last word. So we have two really great sponsors. The first one is Brad Pistow, Certified Fiduciary Financial Planner, located right in Ozark, Missouri, and he owns Trinity Insurance Financial Services. And I use him. A lot of people use him in my family and friends, and he is licensed in 12 different states. He has associates in all 50 states, so you can't go wrong. You can call 417-581-9222, 581-9222, and he'll send you one of his books free, lots of information about retirement planning. The first book was Safe Money Matters, #1 best-selling book on Amazon, retirement planning. Second book, again, #1 best-selling book called Bulletproof. So those books are extremely good if you're thinking about retirement planning. And the other thing that is awesome that I really believe in is that you're never too young. Actually, Brett, you could start saving for your retirement now too.
Well, he's got to get through law school.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but honestly, you can start doing that. It's never too young to start thinking about retirement planning. That's the problem we have in America. We have a lot of people who depend on, say, Social Security, and while I do believe it's still going to be around for people, I don't think the Republican Party's trying to destroy it, but. However, you need to make sure that you take care of yourself also with other types of retirement planning. And so he's a tremendous asset for Southwest Missouri and the country. He writes articles for Springfield, for USA Today, Wall Street, all kinds of publications, and a very smart man. He'd be a great person to have as a program person too. He's very, very good speaker. The other person that we have is John Whittaker. That is Springfield Nissan, Springfield Kia. Used to be Youngblood Motor Group. My last two Grand Cherokee Jeeps have come from them. I'm getting ready to buy another car from them. They are located at 3525 South Campbell in Springfield, Missouri. And their phone number is 417-882-3838, 417-882-3838. Nissans and Kias, they specialize. They can get you any other car that you want. And across the street from the new cars, the used cars, they have a lot of certified cars. Sure, they sell used cars, but they sell certified cars, and that means they've gone to over 100 inspection points. You buy those cars, they cost a little bit more, but they have a lot more warranty and peace of mind about when you drive down the road, because cars are expensive today to buy. And so there are two sponsors, and we really appreciate them. They're very active in the communities and do a lot of great things for people. So that's our sponsors today. And so we're going to run out of time. We got just a few minutes left. What would you like to say, the last thing that we could have you say on the show, and then we'll see if Mary has one last question for you.
Yeah, all right. So thank you guys for having me on the show. And what I'd like to say, it's important to know that the young conservatives, the young people, a lot of us want to learn too, and sometimes we're just shied away because we don't know what we're talking about. So it's important to educate the youth, educate the young people who don't necessarily know the majority of what people are talking about. It's important to help them understand it, help them find their way in the conservative part of life and try to figure things out as they grow.
Well, very good. Mary, one real quick question. I'm going to ask a quick question before we sign off.
Have you organized a trip up to the Capitol during session?
I haven't, no.
Well, then we have to help him with that too.
We can. Both of us,
Okay.
we definitely can help you do that.
I think our school is taking a field trip in 2 weeks to the Capitol.
Okay, when your school does it, take notes.
Yes.
And then figure out how you get Turning Point USA up there.
Yeah.
Because I think you'll have a very receptive governor's office, and the people who are in charge of committees that I deal with up there, the education committees, would welcome your input as to what is going on in the schools, what your experience has been, because they know something is not right, and they want input on how to fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going on the 10th, so I'll be
All
sure
right.
to take
Like
notes.
I said,
Yeah.
take notes.
Yes, ma'am.
Get back to us.
Yeah,
and
we're going to make
we'll
sure.
figure
We'll
it
make
out.
sure, Brett, that
Yeah.
you've got our emails, our phone numbers, things like
Yeah.
that. Mary's up there all the time. I'll be up there in 2 weeks for 2 days, and so we've got a lot. We are up there all the time. She's up there a lot more than I am, but we'll help you. There's a lot of things that we can help you with.
Yeah.
My question is this. This is something that I want everyone to listen to. We've got people in all 50 states watching this show. The thing that bothers me about our country today is we got two parties. And when one party wins and one party loses, the party that loses, obviously they're disappointed, and in many cases they're really mad. And what I see, though, that really divides our country and makes us not what we need to be and what we should be is the fact that, well, I'll just use one example. When they brought the two astronauts that had been stuck up there for 9 months, and when they landed, I saw the parachutes, the beautiful parachutes, 5 of them, bringing that thing, because it was going 17,000 miles an hour down to 30 miles an hour as it landed, and then all of a sudden, out of cue, the dolphins, a pod of dolphins, started swimming around that. The sky was so blue, the parachutes were so beautiful, the water was so beautiful when it hit, and it was just like a perfect landing. And then the dolphins had a party around there, and then they went out there and got them and brought them back. And there was half the world and half of our country cheering, and the other half was sitting on their hands and had nothing good to say because it was Elon Musk's ship that brought them back. And I could go example after example of something positive happen in our country. And one group actually I almost think they want our country to fail while somebody else is in power. And honestly, I'm a guy that does not want our country to fail, even if another party was in control. I don't want them to fail. We can't go up and down, up and down. We've got to stay more up.
Right.
And I just don't get it. Do you think your young group, are they more like what I'm just talking about, that you stay positive, you think and work hard to win again, but you're not hoping our country fails, are you?
No, we do not want the country to fail. I think that people hate the party that wins more than they love the country, and that causes them it makes it seem like they want the country to fail, and that's not at all what we want. It doesn't matter who's in office. We should still want to work together and keep the country successful and great.
Well, very good. Good answer. Good answer. We will be back live next Wednesday. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
And God bless.
We're the United